The turban has been around before the Sikhs. Turbans were normally worn by royal families, princes and kings, and it was seen as a noble headwear for people in India and in the Middle East before the Sikh religion came about. And I know there's lots of records where lots of spiritual men also kept uncut hair and a turban as well. So a turban as a general thing you would tend to see in India, that was common. But when the Sikh faith came about, that for us was given to us as a sign of royalty and sovereignty, where all Sikhs would wear it, that we are all royal in our own way, and we wear it with a lot of pride, where it was only something of noble background before that, but all Sikhs very happily wear the turban. So then that was made mandatory for all Sikh men and women. Yeah. I was born here in Brisbane and have lived in Brisbane most of my life. So I was born in Mater Hospital, and so was my brother. We lived in the Redlands area for about 17 years. Naturally, obviously, we had my grandfather's farm also in the Redlands area. My grandfather, grandmother, my dad, mum, we also lived in the Redlands area as well, so we weren't all too far from each other. Did school there, also did high school in Brisbane as well. I guess our childhood was a different childhood to, I guess, now modern day. I think that when I look back, this was before social media. This was before iPhones, gadgets, all that sort of stuff. When I think back to my childhood, me and my brother often played outside in the outdoors. That's where we really enjoyed ourselves and spending our free time together. Come back from school, go outside, play with the neighbors, or kick a soccer ball. Sport was a big part of our life. We were big soccer fans and players, so we played club, played for school as well. Played pretty much most of our childhood, early teenage years as well. It was only up until grade 11 when I dropped off. Our childhood and upbringing was, very much outdoors, active, and do that. I remember we used to, even on weekends and stuff, we'll take the bikes and go for bike rides around the neighborhood and stuff as well. So these are sort of things we did growing up. Then after that, when I sort of finished high school, we moved sort of towards South Brisbane side for a few reasons. I think at that point in time, for our family, it's different for every family when the boys start, but for us, because our parents and grandparents were all practicing the Sikh religion, we had our uncut hair and our turbans since we were children, so it's our whole life essentially. For the boys, we have a smaller turban called a patka, which is it's made out of the same turban cloth, but it's more of a smaller, compact turban, which you might have seen perhaps younger Sikh boys tend to wear. So we wore that during sports and other activities without any issues. Yeah, we are very much able to play sports, do activities, swimming and stuff. We did swimming at school. When we were very younger, we had some issues because our mum used to tie it for us. If we were mucking around at school and it came off, we would have to sort of figure out, well, what are we going to do now? But my mum had actually taught some of the teachers how to tie a patka turban back on. So we had one or two teachers that we would actually go to, could you tie it back on for us? And they're really good. So they tied it on back for us because obviously, boys being boys who would muck around, and obviously we had a very physical, active childhood, so that was a common thing that would happen, but never any issue or anything like that. So because we lived in the sort of Redlands area, Bayside, it's changed a bit now, but at that time, so when we were younger, there wasn't a lot of other ethnic communities back there. What I mean by that is there wasn't a wide variety. There wasn't very multicultural as much then. So we were very much the only Sikh boys as such. So with that being said, yeah, we did get the normal sort of bullying and teasing here and there at school. But I would think myself and my brother, it it didn't pay a huge toll on us because I think we had quite strong beliefs and values instilled in us at home from a young age. Being a Sikh growing up, for us, what that looked like was a very normal part of our life. So our parents were also practicing the religion, and our grandparents were as well. So it was a very much big part of our upbringing. So we were instilled values from a young age, and I think that played a big impact in how myself and my brother went about in our school and then in our university as well. So yeah, it's a big part of our identity. We were, from a young age, taught a lot of the basic tenets of the Sikh religion, where that helped us then as we grew, dealing with a lot of different situations. We were never sort of in two minds or ever felt that we were sort of forced upon or anything like that. We very much enjoyed practicing our religion, and we did that with a lot of pride. That helped us through early childhood, school, high school, when you would get the bullying here and there or the teasing, but we were able to overcome a lot of that stuff. And I think there was a few factors, I mean, my parents playing their own role. My mum used to teach us how to sing some of the hymns that would be sung in the Sikh temples. So that music aspect was a big thing for me and my brother, which we now still carry on to this day. That was instilled from my mother. My father used to teach us historical things about the religion, so we were well aware of our history as well. And even my grandfather, so my mother's father, was a well-renowned Sikh. So we have the like a preacher, Sikh preacher, during the 1980s and 1990s. He was from England, in Dudley, Birmingham, and he did a lot of traveling around this part of the world. So you've got Australia, New Zealand, Singapore, Malaysia, those type of countries, which at that point in time there wasn't a big Sikh community. And so he used to travel out here and give talks, and was a well-known Sikh preacher at that time as well. The fact that those roots were in my family as well meant that we were well versed and in understanding the religion from a young age, I guess. And that sort of helped us along the way with our values and our beliefs in a school setting, growing up in Brisbane in a wider sense as well, with dealing with the community, then going on to university and then working as well. So that's always been a big part of our life. Then we moved to South Brisbane for quite a lot of different reasons. I think, as I mentioned before, there wasn't a big Sikh community. towards the Redlands at that time, our Sikh temple, our Gurdwara, is situated in 8 Mile Plains in the sort of Logan, Brisbane, South Side area. So that was a big part of our weekly schedule. We would go there at least once or twice in the week. So just to be closer to those events, community gatherings, and also a lot of our family and friends living in those areas as well. Some of our bigger celebrations, like for example, the birth of Guru Nanak Dev Ji, the founder of Sikhism, that would be a very auspicious day where there'd be a big gathering at the Sikh temple, at the Gurdwara, where everyone would sort of get involved in some way or another, whether it would be singing hymns, reciting the scriptures, or serving the langar, or doing some other sort of selfless service in the temple, more for our spiritual gain and spiritual practice. And many a times that would be a big part of what we would do on those occasions as well, preparing and serving with the langar as well. So I had finished my high school. I moved there 2015, so I would have been around 17, 18 when I moved to the south side, which we are still living in now as well to this day. So yeah, for the last 10 years we've been on this side. Yeah, last 7, 8 years. From there, it's just been convenient in sort of a lot of aspects as well, because we did university here as well, me and my brother at Griffith University, which is not too far. Then also being closer to work now as well, working in the city. So it's been convenient in a lot of aspects. But then also our big links within our community, our friend circles, also towards this area as well. So I did a Bachelor of Business and a Bachelor of Commerce in university. But then I majored in finance and financial planning. I did my degree at Griffith University, graduated in end of 2019, and then started work in a financial planning firm in 2020 as a graduate position. Yeah, so I did a bit of work in Brisbane. Then I actually moved to Bundaberg for 2 years and did some regional work there in my field, which was a big change for me because I've lived in Brisbane, lived with my family my whole life. So getting up, and this was before I was married as well, so I was all by myself there. Similar to, I guess, how we grew up in Redlands, where there was no other Sikh community or other, Punjabi background or Indian background. So I moved to Bundaberg there for about 2 years before I moved back to Brisbane in 2022 June. How do we meet? Yes, I mean the Sikh community is quite a small community when you compare it to England and Canada, where there's a lot of it's a very much bigger community. Our parents sort of knew each other beforehand as well. We sort of knew each other, and then we got engaged in 2020. We were planning to get married in 2021. Then COVID happened, and then finally we got married in 2021. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. We got married in 2021 in April. That Gurdwara was first built in 1987. So the Brisbane Sikh Temple was the first proper Gurdwara in Brisbane. At that time, there was only a handful of families who came together and got the funds together to build that. And one of the core people involved in that, out of the 5 founding fathers who came together and built that Gurdwara, was Papaji, so my great-grandfather. He was one of the elders living here at that time as well. So what those men did at that time was they actually gave their house guarantees to get a loan to get the Gurdwara together. So they did all that to build that Gurdwara that we have now today. So it was for their, their commitment and their sacrifice that we were able to enjoy that. My family's been attached to that Sikh temple for many years, since day one when they first laid the foundation stone. So I think the biggest change we have had would probably be dating back to 2008. Before that, the Sikh community in Brisbane was fairly small. Small in the sense where we had lots of families, but everyone knew everyone. A lot of family members, a lot of community members who had migrated from England was a sort of big predominant part of our Brisbane community. So we had a lot of old families from England with obviously a background from Punjab. So that was what our congregation was made up of before 2008. Then 2008, we had an influx of students, young Punjabi Sikh students coming to study here. And it sort of happened all at once, where it wasn't just a few, there was quite a lot who came all at once. So between 2008 to 2010, it was a huge increase in our community. And looking back, I would say it's been a positive change for us, because the number of Sikh now living in Brisbane almost instantly doubled in just a couple of years. So where it was sort of slowly growing to this big jump, and our community doubled in size, which meant it was nicer for us, obviously us growing up in Brisbane, to see more people looking like us, a familiar face, someone we can talk to on a different level, and people that we can relate to on a religious, cultural level as well. So I feel that it's had a good impact on us, where even because of that, I've actually had made some really close friends as well. Because obviously I've grown up now, and the age when they sort of came sort of aligned with the age that I was at that time. So sort of young 19, 20-year-olds together. So I formed some good friendships from that as well, which now all of them have now, through their hard work, now become permanent residents and citizens themselves, and very much speaking English how now we do. So it's nice to see how they come about through their hard work. So I think it's had a positive impact on our Brisbane community. Yeah. For me in particular, a big draw card for most people born and raised here is usually family. But with us, in our case, because our family had moved from Punjab for it's been quite a lot of years since they've actually left Punjab. Most of my family and extended family are now either living in Australia or England. We've only got a real handful that are still left in Punjab. We didn't actually do our first India Punjab trip until 2012. Me and my brother were a lot older, and I think we were in high school. Yeah, 2012. I was in grade 10. It was not until 2012 when we did our first trip. So, and that was solely for religious purposes, to see our historical Sikh temples. The main Sikh Gurdwara for us is the Harmandir Sahib, so the Golden Temple, the iconic temple, which is all gold plated. That was the first time we got to see that firsthand as well. So that trip was very nice for us, where we didn't get caught up in seeing lots of relatives. It was solely based on, we want to see all the history and where all the old artifacts, and it was a very very unique experience, that one. So we did a lot of traveling around India to see a lot of the old architecture places that our gurus had gone to. I think it had a positive impact on mine and my brother's life to see that at an older stage of our life as well, in the sense that we weren't too young where we forgot about it. We were well aware of everything we're seeing, old enough to ask questions, and it had a really good impact on us. Yeah. What I would like to see in a more community essence is more understanding and more mutual respect between each other. I, growing up, following the Sikh tradition, and only being a real handful, were able to, me and my brother were able to communicate and get to know a lot of different people from a lot of different backgrounds. I think that we tend to focus on the differences a lot more. I think if we move towards a more better future, that would mean I think we need to focus on a lot of the similarities we all share, whether it's religion, whether it's cultural differences, anything really. I generally think that even if you were to break it down to a normal household, you might have different views, but you can come together with your similarities. And I think breaking down barriers and actually getting to know one another, who is your neighbor, because your neighbor looks different now to what they did 10 years ago. A place where everyone can have open conversations, communication, get to know one another, and enjoy the similarities we share, because there's quite a lot. There is a different degree of practice where, as you learn more, want to adopt more of the religion, you'll find that in your own spiritual growth that you'll be progressing further and further, and then adopting things as well. So in the Sikh religion, we have the Amrit, the so that's the our ambrosial holy water that we drink when we become initiated, and that essentially makes you an amritari, so a baptized initiated Sikh. So once you've taken that step, that has its own sort of additional requirements to what the majority Sikh community follow. This is on top of that. It's a duty that you have to do all of your 5 prayers in the morning as a bare minimum. We don't cut our hair in whatsoever. There's different degree of that people say they follow, but if once you become baptized Sikh, you don't cut your hair at all, your beard or any part of your hair. We don't smoke or take any intoxicants of any sort, no adultery, or we do not eat any form of meat or eggs, anything that's killed a living being. So there's lots of sort of things like that you then sort of adopt once you become a baptized initiated Sikh, and that's what we call like an amritari. In the Sikh religion, there's never been any discrimination against gender. There's never been any discrimination or any sort of gender inequality. Everything that has been taught to a Sikh is for man and woman. So our guru meaning teacher, and Sikh, the word Sikh means to learn. We're constantly learning from our spiritual teacher, guru. So guru meaning teacher. We learn all of our spiritual guidance from. And we had 10 gurus who were in human form from 1469 to 1708, in which all of our historical Sikh temples and history is related to. And then from 1708, the gurus' writings, what they spoke, and their teachings were compiled into the holy Granth, the holy scriptures, which we call now the Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji, who is our present Guru since 1708 to modern day times. So if you were to go to a Sikh temple now, you would pay reverence to the holy scriptures, our Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji, from which we learn all of our spiritual guidance from. Yeah, so just as a teacher teaches his student, we go to our spiritual holy scriptures, our Guru, for guidance on everything. And just one thing I was thinking about before is the what I was mentioning about focusing on our positives and our similarities as opposed to our differences is a writing of our gurus, is a lesson from our gurus which I try to implement into my own life. It's a line that I want to mention. Guna ka hove vasula kadvas laijai je gun hovan sajna mil sanj kari jai guna keri chhod avgun chaliye. So it pretty much means that we want to, if there is any virtues with someone, any good qualities, then learn as Sikhs, learn and take that, and any demerits or any bad qualities, we put that to one side, and we want to take all the goodness from someone and implement that into our life. And if there's anything bad, we leave it there and we move on. That's our sort of relationship we have with our Guru, where from those teachings we try and then implement it in our life, in our day-to-day lives, whenever we talk to someone, when we go to school, when we go to work, and try to become what our Guru has taught us to become, a enlightened spiritual being, to realize God in that way. Obviously, the Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji is quite a large, and the entire compilation of all of the scriptures. But in times like that, when in travel or when it's not readily available that we can take the whole scriptures in a respectful manner, we do have smaller condensed writings in which there are some of the main writings and scriptures and prayers that we then can take as a portable mean that we can always still remember, learn and recite. Yeah, so it's like a different compilations, different parts of the entire Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji, condensed into smaller prayer books. I think the only one that I think would completely summarize everything is the first verse in Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji. That is the teachings of Guru Nanak Dev Ji. Ek Oankar, the one true universal God, who's contained in everyone, who creates, sustains and destroys. Satnam, true is his name, from which we chant and realize God. Karta Purakha is the creative being, Nirpo, Nirvair, so he has no fear, no hatred. Akal Murata, he is the image of the undying, it doesn't die. Ajuni Sapang, he's beyond birth and he is self-existent. And Gur Prasad, so he is achieved by the Guru and understood through the Guru.